Welcome back to the KC Turbos podcast show. I'm here with Cameron and Charlie. You like that?
Welcome back to the KC podcast, guys. Today I'm joined by our lovely leader, Charlie Fish. What's going on,
This place
Charlie?
looks great. I haven't actually been in the podcast studio. This place turned out awesome. I mean, before we were in the warehouse above a building in the elements, dusty. Everything was green screen.
All green screen and dusty.
No, hardly any light. There were lights duct taped to the ceiling and walls. This looks really good.
Yeah, shout out to Harbor Freight.
Shout out to Harbor Freight. Harbor Freight and duct tape.
Yeah.
I mean, Gorilla Tape, personally. I like Gorilla Tape
much better. Today we want to go over what? UCC?
Yeah,
Let's talk about
UCC, maybe
prep.
the move a little bit. You know, UCC's been a little while, but it's been a busy couple of months for us here at KC Turbos. Crazy. Busier than we've ever been.
Yeah.
I mean, busy with sales, and then a lot of people don't know that we moved just before UCC. I think we started moving around May 10th, May 11th, and it took a couple of weeks to move, and at the same time we were doing UCC prep, building a sled pull setup, trying to get to UCC, trying to keep up with sales. It was nuts, to say the least, and it's balls hot here in Arizona, so it's been rough.
Yeah, absolutely miserable. So let's talk about the lead up to UCC. So what happened at the last event? Let's see. Last time we checked in, Haunter was, I think we blew up at a...
Yeah, I thought we were going to be pretty prepared for UCC this year. I'm sure everybody feels that way. I mean, months in advance we were planning. We didn't get our billet block in time. There's a lot of R&D that goes into that stuff. A lot of revisions along the way. I think we're learning as we go. So we've never actually gotten that engine, but Jesse Warren's been running it, and he advised us to change a few things and upgrade. So maybe a month before UCC, we just went to go do a casual track pass, and we torched a head. We don't know what happened. Injector issue, tuning issue. We hadn't really changed much. We thought we were just ready, and so we're a month before UCC, don't have an engine on the way, don't have a spare engine to put in there, still got to build the sled pull setup. We're in the middle of moving shops, and Tony and I were like, we pulled the block apart, and the block seemed okay. There was a couple dark spots on the cylinder wall. Jared said it looks like, because we're still running, at that time was a wet block, and it looked like the cylinder liner was stretching. The sleeves were, just under cylinder pressures moving a little bit, so the rings weren't sealing, but that's all we had. So we dingleberry honed it. We filled the block with concrete ourselves in the shop. Put it back together with a new set of heads and hoped for the best. We got it ready to go, and we were hoping we wouldn't have any more issues at UCC, but that engine's been refreshed a couple of times and hasn't actually been back to Jared at Kill Devil Diesel, so
that thing's been abused.
It's been abused. Same block, wet block for a while. It's breaking. You could see it starting to crack, but it's all we had. So we got that together, got it up and running. We focused a little bit more on getting the sled pull set up and going, which we've sled pulled before, but never prepared. Never like
Not
a
like
real,
this,
never like a real sled pull setup. We talked to a few fabricators, and with our timeline, we just had to do it ourselves. So we're not a fabrication shop, we are a turbo building shop. So we just bought a Harbor Freight welder. I mean, we have a Harbor Freight welder, bought a truckload full of metal, a bandsaw, and just went to town. Just started building stuff, stacking. We couldn't bend or make angles, but we can weld metal for sure. So if you don't stand too close, it looks kind of cool.
Looks really good if you're about 20 feet away.
20 feet away.
The bedsides are on it, and you can't see most of the inside of it. It's perfect.
Right. So I think it turned out pretty well. There's some issues along the way. We had to find a dually axle. We didn't want to re-gear the front or switch the front axle, and we are running 373s in the front, so it makes it a little difficult to match the rear. But Zach Bolin, a good friend of ours, he had a 7.3 or early
E99,
I think 7.3, 373 dually rear end that he let us borrow. I think we're going to buy it eventually, but
maybe
we use that. Just kind of mocked it up. We've never built anything like this before. Tried to read through the rules, and is mostly Tony and I, but a couple of guys at the shop to help. Jake helped, Justin helped, Ben helped, but a lot of just cutting and welding and stacking.
You and Tony, I remember you guys just standing there staring at it for hours, just like, okay, where are we going to put these bars at? How are we going to tie it into the frame? How's it going to bolt into the 4-link? What are we going to do with our shocks?
Right. because it's a back half, and we were worried about the back half. I know a lot of guys that have gone to UCC in their back half and they just bow out for the sled pull. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to actually go in there and put forth our best foot forward, and I think it went okay. Like in the front, we were worried about the last year, maybe it was the year before, our front end hopped and bounced hard. And me not knowing what to do, so we just took the front coils out and coilovers and just put a solid bar in there holding the front end, and then we built the sled. And I think it turned out well.
I think it turned out really good.
Looked really cool.
Especially that front little basket for the our weight box.
Yeah. The weight, that was a big issue for us. We couldn't figure out what to do. Sled pull weights were expensive, and I was having a hard time finding them, getting them in time. We looked into just gym weights.
Yeah.
Those were expensive, and they wouldn't fit very well in the box. We didn't have time to build a box, so we took a truck box, like a truck bed box, and built a frame out of it and stuck it up there in front.
Yeah.
So
hey, thanks to that random guy on Facebook that sold us that toolbox. We appreciate it.
Right. Thank you. That was awesome. You didn't realize it was going the sled pull setup, but it did.
Yeah. It got used and abused.
So we did manage to get it just barely up and going in time. Also, transporting that big of a sled pull setup for us.
Oh yeah.
It was 32 hours worth of driving. The trailer was already full, so we made it kind of like a wheelbarrow where you could actually take the axle and roll it up in there with all the rest of the equipment on there. The tires, the wheels, the front weight box. So it worked out pretty well. Yeah,
it did, except now that we had that second axle, we couldn't fit our push car.
Yeah.
So
no push car, nothing to push. It was a dry block. We're told not to run it too long this year, and we were a little worried about it. Couldn't fit anything. We were going to rent something, but Alex Leahy, a good friend of ours, he volunteered to bring out his Jeep and put a push bar on the front and pushed us around all weekend long. So he didn't just push us around all. He busted about working. I mean, he was up late, up early, working the whole time.
Yeah,
so
every single
huge
day.
shout out, Alex, if you're watching this. Really appreciate you. It was a big help.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, go check out Precision Diesel out in what is that? Platte City, Missouri, I think.
I think
somewhere
he's all
around
over the
Kansas
place.
City.
Yeah,
but yeah, give him a call. Look him up on Facebook. He's a good guy. Does great work too. Helped us swap an engine. After was that day one?
Yeah. So day one, we get out and we dialed the truck back a little bit. We were just gonna make a few casual passes. I mean, the truck consistently runs like 5.2s now, and we've gotten a couple of 5.10s, 5.12 out of it. Goal was 4, so we turned it down, ran a 5.50. First pass, nitrous controller wasn't working, swapped that out. Second pass, he got about 100 feet out, and freeze plug popped out. It's a dry block, so no big deal, but it made a little tink, 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 so Tony pulled over, all worried.
Yeah.
Third pass, blew the motor. A 550 with a blown motor. It sounded really cool when it literally exploded, but it wasn't the block exploding. I guess we torched a couple of pistons.
Yep.
I'm thinking maybe from Dingleberry honing it and reusing the block over and over again, maybe filling a wet block and not having it remachined might not have been but it's all we could do. Like, that's all we had.
Did we have holes in the pistons?
It did. I was
going to say, I think we melted that thing.
We were inspecting the valves from the bottom side of the engine, looking through the hole in the piston, so it's kind of cool. But the big issue was, so we didn't have a backup engine at the time. Joseph Harms and Kill Devil Diesel, he put a motor together for us with some spare parts that we had and literally got it ready. I think it was the day of. Yeah. Joseph Harms drove all the way out there, put it in the back of his truck, and got there just in time for us to blow the engine and have to put it back together. I mean, we had a spare engine, spare heads, spare valve cover, spare trans, spare transfer case, spare drive shaft, spare PCM. Yeah. We had spare everything except an oil pan.
Yeah.
We never had an issue with the oil pan. We had a spare upper oil pan, but not a spare low oil pan. And I guess when it torched the pistons, it filled the crankcase with so much pressure, it just blew the oil pan off the truck. I mean, the flat oil pan just bent out.
Yeah.
And we have a bunch of bungs welded in the oil pan, so we're like, could we find an oil pan, weld those, get it up and running? We weren't sure what we were going to do, but we went back to the pits after running a horrible pass and spent all night long figuring it out. So we kind of divide and conquer. Ben and Colton and Alex, Joe, and I, just kicked butt, swapping the motor in the parking lot, but we just kept wondering what we're going to do for an oil pan.
Yeah.
So with a bunch of MAP gas torches, ratchet straps, and dead blow hammers, we beat the crap out of that thing until it was flat again. And it was literally like 2 hours of just wham! People would walk by and like, what are you doing? It's trying to make an oil pan.
Sorry.
But it went back together pretty well, and it sealed. I mean,
it didn't leak either.
It didn't leak. It worked.
Surprising.
Surprisingly, it ended up working out well. I mean, we were working late into the night, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, you were there too, but you were
midnight.
walking around, coming back to and from.
Yeah. They kicked us out right at midnight, and we were just getting the engine. We have it put back in the first night?
It was like it wasn't running.
Yeah.
And about midnight, we had to be out, so we didn't get back to the hotel till 1 or 1:30 in the morning, and had a shower, get ready, go to bed, and we had to be back on the dyno the next day. And we didn't know what order we were going to dyno in, so we woke up early, got back to the track, finished it running, got it up and running like just in time to go pull names for the dyno. We were a little later in the day, which we were excited about.
Yeah,
I got the truck buttoned up, and then poured rain all day. Yeah. We literally sat in our pit staring at the truck for 12 hours, 10 hours, hoping the rain would stop, and it didn't.
Yeah, it's terrible. It would slow down and then just pick back up again. I mean,
and they kept saying, okay, as soon as we get a little dry spot in there, we're going to throw you guys on the dyno, and it didn't happen. Not their fault. I mean, everybody was pissed.
Yeah.
And so now we're to the point where, like, sled pulls the next day, dyno's the next day.
Yeah,
what are we going to do?
Do we start the transition? Because... So what was the whole process on swapping the axles? Well, I guess let's stay on the dyno.
Okay, dyno.
So what were you thinking? Like,
so we same thing. We're like, could we halfway swap to the sled pull setup? But there's a few little things we could swap, but mainly the rear end swap. We didn't want to change it for the dyno because our dyno tires wouldn't have fit.
Yeah.
Nothing else would have fit. It's a heavy dually rear end. We just didn't know how that was going to go. So we didn't really have time to swap anything. Sat all day doing nothing, and then dynoed the next morning. Yeah. So dyno went okay.
Yeah, dyno day. That was
dyno day.
What a struggle.
We had nitrous issue. Had an O-ring blowout on the nitrous kit. Random. Never had that happen. Leaking all the nitrous out of the front end of the truck. Tried to get it fixed. Couldn't get it fixed. So it was basically fuel only runs, 1,500 horsepower. Yeah. I mean, maybe it was sucking a little bit of nitrous. You look at the video.
The ghetto fog.
You can see just ghetto fogging out the front of the truck, and we were hoping it would like suck back
just
in.
A little bit more. Come on.
I don't think it stuck much in. I think it's 1,500, which is, basically fuel only. We were really hoping to do like 2,200, 2,000 horsepower.
On the dot.
It would have been there, I'm sure of it, but,
Easily.
But didn't.
That was, really frustrating.
And then only a couple hours to swap to the full sled pull setup in the parking lot, which went fantastic. Yeah. It bolted. We took the old setup out, new setup in. I mean, we had it up and going way quicker than we thought. Yeah. But the issue was the weight. Like, we didn't have scales to weigh it beforehand, so we're kind of like guessing where we're going to be. Mm-hmm. We're about 1,000 pounds off. Yep. So the weight, because we couldn't find weights. Mm-hmm. We didn't find anyone to borrow. We should have asked harder, buying and finding and transporting. So when it came time to it, we're like, well, what are we going to fill the weight box with? We thought about water, but water's not very heavy. We tried to find weights to do it, and then we couldn't find the right weights, so concrete. Yep. We went and bought a pallet of concrete from Home Depot and filled the whole front weight box with concrete, thinking it would be plenty, and we ended up being 1,000 pounds shy. So we went up and weighed ourselves, and they were like, you got 1,000 pounds to go. And we're like, uh-oh. So we had about 30 minutes to run back, add weight to it. And we just did everything we could to add weight. We had big water tanks to hold the tents down. Mm-hmm. We strapped those to the frame, put a converter underneath my seat, another spare converter in the passenger seat. I mean, we just added weight wherever we could. And we got within 30 pounds of the weight limit. If you looked inside the bed, it looked funny with ratchet straps and weight and all.
We had our big oil pan strapped to the top of the axle,
The oil pan, the oil drain pan that we filled up with water, put the lid on it, and just like strapped it to the frame. Looked funny, but it was we got real close to weight.
Yeah, that was impressive. And then who was that guy that just showed up out of nowhere? Typical UCC. The guy with the crazy glasses. He just showed up and he's like, oh, what's going on, guys? And then he just started helping us throwing stuff on there.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Rod.
Yeah, but dude, he was so kind. He just showed up.
Right the last minute, just starts busting butt,
guys.
helping us.
I was like, what's up, man? I was like, I've never met him before. I don't know who you are.
So, everybody likes him. He ran a 590 truck for a long time. He won a couple years in a row, I want to say, in the ODSS class and sold it, and that guy won with the truck. So I think he's got a Corvette in the works.
Oh, okay.
So, it's going to be super cool.
Yeah.
Ryan Milliken and him work together.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Super cool guy. Cummins guys, still friends, though. I think he runs a few of our turbo stuff on his, at least his previous truck. He's ran some turbine housings from us that we made. So, cool.
That's cool.
We're not sled pullers.
No, hell no.
We did it once in a 2-wheel drive truck, and we literally couldn't get the sled going, so they kind of like lifted the sled off the
gave
ground.
us the training wheels.
Yeah, the training wheels to get going, and then set it back down. The next time was in Lucky, and we did okay, but was not sled up.
Yeah.
And the front
Still
wheels
had
were bouncing
shocks
so
on it.
hard.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was slamming.
shattered the windshield.
Yeah, oops.
So before the sled pull, I was talking to Tony Burkhart, and I was like, hey, man, you know, I
any
did
tips?
buy my hitch from you.
Yeah.
Could you do some tips? He came over to spend about an hour, like, walking me through the different techniques, what he recommended on tuning, the horsepower levels. That guy knows his stuff with sled pulling. And he won last year. Yeah, he won the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
After I think they crashed the truck and then went back to win it. I mean, that heck of a team.
Yeah.
And heck of a guy. He's a Duramax guy and a sled puller. We're Powerstroke drag racers, but he came over, sat down with us, spent a lot of time walking us through us, talking about the suspension, the tuning, the weight, how to leave, when to put the power down. So, amazing guy. If you're watching this, Tony, that was huge for us. We really appreciate it. If you guys need anything, sled pulling, Duramax, Cummins, Powerstroke, they make all sorts of custom parts. They sell a bunch of stuff right on their website, and they're super knowledgeable. I recommend people reaching out to them.
All right, so he spends all that time teaching you how. You've only ever done it twice before in your life. How are you feeling getting into the lane sitting there? Were you super nervous?
Super nervous. It was super hot. It was
hot. It was muggy because it just rained.
Couple of people made a couple of great passes. I get up there not knowing what to do, super worried about it. Get in there. I forgot to turn the nitrous on at first, so I kind of attempted to go, and it just wouldn't go. And I was like, oh, no, it won't go. I couldn't because it's still a drag racing converter, so we had a real hard time getting on top of the converter.
It's tight down there.
Flipped the nitrous on and went for it. And I think it felt really good to me. I'm not a sled puller, but I kind of want to get more into it now after doing that. It was so fun. It was so much more intense than I thought it would be, and it felt so good. And what's weird about it, I felt like I started off kind of slow, and then I picked up speed, and then wham, you could feel the sled grabbing, and you just stopped so quick. I was a little afraid near the end. There was a little bit of a fire. We popped a glow plug harness out right next to the turbo, and it kind of shot some oil on the turbos. They put it out real quick. Truck was fine, and we drove it back on the trailer, so that was exciting.
And I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but our front clip,
Just one more foot.
you couldn't take it off because of our weight box.
Yeah.
So it's like if that thing caught on fire, that would have been
Just
a
be
mess.
down. They were spraying from
Underneath
underneath.
it was like, oh God, I hope this doesn't go worse.
Yeah, because the front clip couldn't lean forward or it hit the weight box. But I think it went really well.
Yeah.
I still don't know what we pulled. I mean, it said 299 on the
screen
thing.
said 299, so we're going to
They
say we went
said
300.
we didn't. They
Yeah.
said it was like 270 something, so I don't know.
Yeah, the
Whatever it
screen
was,
was off.
it was a good
Come
pull for
on.
us. It was
good.
great.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people struggled to pull, and overall we ended fourth,
Yeah.
which is great. I don't think a Powerstroke of anything has ever been top 5, and we were top 4. If we would have had our typical dyno pull and our typical
we probably
track
would have at
pass,
least got third, right?
third, according to the numbers, it looked like we could have been second. No chance at first at all.
no.
But it was a good year for us. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of help from a lot of people. It's
Lot
like
of people.
it takes a village to do something
Yeah.
like that, to take a team. And we are not like set up for that. A lot of people think maybe we got this giant shop, ton of mechanics. No.
Hell no.
Like Tony's the mechanic, and he's usually swapping parts for R&D on the dyno.
Yeah.
But we pulled it
He's
off.
always busy. We pulled 2 turbo builders because Jake is actually certified welding. So it's like, all right, we'll let him weld because he can. Justin was doing most of the metal cutting and drilling, which took, how many collective man hours do you think we had in that?
Oh my gosh.
In that conversion?
It was a lot, and you know what the worst part was? What do you think the worst thing was? The welding, the cutting, the moving things around. What do you think was the most difficult and took the longest for us?
What?
Drilling.
Yeah.
It was a bolt-in setup. We didn't want to weld anything to our roll cage or our four-link. We were afraid of messing it up, so we had to figure out a setup that would literally roll into the truck and bolt to the four-link and bolt to the frame.
Yeah.
So we drilled a bunch of holes and made a couple of brackets where you could, and it bolted in quick.
Yeah.
It turned out perfect. It bolted
Very surprising.
to the frame up in front. It bolted to the four-link, and then it bolted to the back half, like back near where the hitch was.
Yeah.
But those holes that we had to drill in the frame and in the sled pole setup took hours.
Yeah.
And
'Cause, how thick was that steel? Wasn't that like
we
over
were
a
you were
quarter
using
inch thick?
3/8 tubing, and so anytime you drilled a hole, it was 3/8 on one side, 3/8 on the other, and we had to drill 3/4 inch wide or hole the IDs through 3/8 double, and the frame was thicker than that. It was days of drilling
just
for us.
drilling.
We did not account. It was like, oh, we'll buy some nice drill bits, get a nice
it'll be
drill.
easy. We can weld, set it up. It'll be super easy.
No, kept burning up drill bits, breaking drill bits. I watched all sorts of YouTube
Yeah.
videos on how
Somebody
to drill
please
giant
help me,
holes.
yeah.
I mean, we learned more pressure, less speed, which really helped.
Uh-huh.
And gosh, sometimes we'd get in these weird spots where you couldn't use a drill press.
Yeah.
You couldn't get something in there, so we'd use ratchet straps against the drill to pull it hard enough to drill through the frame.
Yeah, we went and bought one of those, the right angle short drills. Yeah.
No, that was Ben's. Ben just had
he
it
had
from
it?
a previous plumbing job. Yeah,
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that thing came clutch.
low, slow, and a lot of pressure. And I think the thicker the metal, the bigger the drill bit, the more pressure you need.
Yeah.
We're not metal fabricators. We're turbo builders. Someone made fun of us in the comments, like, "Oh, I'm not going to have you build my turbo. You guys don't know how to build a sled pull setup." It's like, dude, we build turbos.
Yeah.
Like, we're not sled pullers. We're not a fabrication shop. We don't build 4-link setups.
Yeah,
so
we do really tiny precision parts. So when it's, parts the size of this table, it's a little bit different.
it's a
for
little
us.
different.
Yeah.
You can't fit all that stuff on our little lathe or our balancer or
Yeah.
our mill. It's not making these kind of things.
Yeah.
So
Gosh.
Harbor Freight welder, Harbor Freight bandsaws, and a bunch of metal, but we pulled it off and built it. So
Gosh, yeah. What a long weekend.
long weekend. People don't realize how much it takes. I mean, there's a few new guys that show up, and some of them do great, but a lot of them come in afterwards, and they're like, I had no idea how hard that was going to be.
Uh-huh.
3 events, 3 days, and almost nobody makes it through without breaking something. Everyone
No way.
breaks trannies, snaps drive shafts, blowing up engines. I mean, one of the worst parts of the event was the oil downs at the track. And it wasn't just the UCC guys, it was ODSS.
It was a record, baby.
It was a record. Not a record anyone wanted to set, but I think the most oil downs ever, because stuff just, when you're pushing things to the max, things are going to break. And then you can't just break and go home. If you want to finish the event, you got to head back to the pits on the ground in the parking lot, swapping engines, transmissions, rebuilding rear ends. It's intense. There's a few events that are close to it, but I don't think there's anything like the ultimate call-out challenge.
No way. Yeah. Especially when everything's just boiling hot. You're trying to get in there with some fans that we brought in the trailer.
Yeah.
Some gloves. It's like, it doesn't help.
It was hot one day and then rainy the next. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had years that come out where we froze our balls off.
Yeah.
And then certain years you come out that's super hot.
Oh,
I guess
God,
that's
yeah.
Indiana weather for you. I mean, Arizona's just always hot. You know what to expect.
It's very hot, very dry. That humidity was terrible.
But it was fun. It was a blast. It was huge. There's so many people. I can't list off the people. You know what? I got to pull it up on my phone. Make sure
You have a list of people.
The list of people
so
that helped
many
us out
guys
was just
stop by, and it's
Stop.
It's so kind, right? Because it's all the gearheads that do that. They already went through having all their issues, all their problems, learned all this stuff, and then they're like, "Well, my stuff's perfect and it's all dialed in. I'm just ready to go."
I mean,
so then they just come hang out and stop by. Hey guys, you need any help? We're like, yeah, you want to get in here?
I had a few random customers,
Yeah.
friends of
Yeah,
mine.
customers.
I mean, friends, customers I only meet at UCC. Just swing by. Hey, is there anything we can do to help? Like,
Yeah.
I'm happy to help swap engines, swap transmissions, drill holes. It was awesome. A bunch of people
Yeah.
came over and helped, but other competitors too. I get a lot of advice
Yeah.
and a lot of help from other competitors, which is super cool. And
Yeah.
we couldn't be here without some of our sponsors. It's not like they send us everything for free, but a lot of sponsors, just them calling and walking us through it and answering questions. And, like Ryan Milliken, Cummins guy, reached out to him a few days before UCC for tuning help, and he was super willing to help. Chris at TSD has helped
Yeah.
us on tuning over the years. We would have no race program without Jared
without
at Kill
Jared.
Devil
Oh my
Diesel.
gosh.
Not just the engine, but he spends hours and hours on the phone at night
Yeah.
talking about
with you, with Tony.
suspension, injectors, Jesse Warren with Warren Diesel. We didn't have any injector problems, haven't had any injector problems for a while, but he's super knowledgeable on all this stuff. Justin Norpel with he does our transmissions here. He's
transmissions done
local in
right, yeah.
Arizona. He's amazing. He's always on the phone helping us, going through the transmissions
Yeah.
if needed. So many people that have just helped us out over the years. It makes us who we are and what we do. I mean, even small things like Rig and Picard, we needed dually wheels because we bought the wrong ones.
Yeah.
They were supposed
Oops.
to be the right ones.
Yeah.
They said they were right ones. We bought them, powder coated them. They were the wrong setup. So
Yeah.
we had to get him, and he's like, I got some wheels. I'll bring them on down. He brought them down to us and helped. But there were so many people along the way that helped with stuff. Like, it was amazing.
Yeah. Gosh. How worried were you that the dually setup was just going to tear up your
Super worried.
your
I'm
fenders,
so
your bed
sure.
sides? I was like, this fiberglass, I was looking at it, I was like, well, it looked so nice for so long, but I'll see you later.
I mean, we're not welders and we're not fabricators,
No.
but we MIG weld the crap out of that thing. Probably too much. People were looking at it like, wow, this that's
Some
a
of
lot
the sled pull guys kind of stopped by and they were kind of just looked at it and kept walking. I was like, oh god, we look like idiots.
From 10 to 15 feet back, it looks pretty cool.
It looks great.
You get up real close, you could tell we were laying on our backs, welding on the bottom.
Yeah.
Welds are dripping all over the place, but it worked. And if anyone's watching this and wants to do the event, most everyone feels that way when they go into it, that you feel like you're not doing anything right. You feel unprepared.
Yeah, I think my favorite part of the whole event was we had the engine swap done. We just swapped out the axle. We hooked it up to Alex's Jeep. And then you're like, all right, I got to make sure our staging limiter's set for the sled pull. So pointing outside of our tents, hooked onto Alex's Jeep, just tried the two-step and like, da-da-da.
Tony tried that one time and the limiter didn't work. It yanked the Jeep across the parking lot.
It's like, oh gosh, guys.
It was a blast. It was fun. Highly recommend it. Can't wait till next year.
Yeah.
Worst 2 months of my life. Busiest, not enough worst, most stressful, lack of sleep, moving the shop, getting the truck ready, drama from work. We couldn't just stop building turbos. So
and that's a busy season for us with orders too.
It is. It was very busy.
It was so busy this year. It was ridiculous.
I don't want to forget Go-Ren transmissions.
Yeah, Go-Ren. Yeah. What's
with
his
the
name?
converters.
Dave, right?
I think Dave's the guy I talked to. There's a bunch of great guys down there. Go-Ren, Gear-End. I read it.
Sorry, guys.
I'm sorry for saying it wrong, but they've been super helpful with us on the stall of the converter. We don't really have issues with the converters going out, but when you get that high in drag racing, the stall becomes so important. We could do a whole video on the stall. If too tight, you can't get on top of the converter. Too loose, you blow through the converter when you launch, and when you go to lock it, the RPM drops too high, and it burns up the converter. But they have gone back and forth with us and really helped us to dial in that converter, which has just been huge for us.
Yeah, gosh, that's been... I mean, shit. How many versions of that converter have we got? Aren't we
like
5 stall changes now?
I think 5 stall changes, maybe 7 in the last couple of years, and they're different. A lot of people are like, well, what RPM stall is it? There's no such thing as
doesn't operate on that. It's
they kind of try to throw that out there for people, but there's no such thing as an actual RPM stall. Like, it's not like it's just going to stop at that point. They actually will send you graphs of the K factor versus the torque or the speed to let you know what the stall is going to look like, and it was very helpful to have that. I don't know of anyone else that provides that information.
Yeah, at least not publicly.
Not publicly.
A lot of guys will test it, and then the companies will be like, oh, no, this is our proprietary testing information.
Yeah.
And then Dave's like, oh, yeah, here you go.
So that was super helpful for us.
Yeah.
Highly recommend them. And I know a lot of Cummins guy, Duramax, and Powerstroke. Maybe a few years ago, no one had heard of them. I don't know why, but now it seems like everybody's running them. They're
Everyone
having
in
really
the
good
diesel
luck.
industry, it seems like they're just going that way.
Yeah, and the diesel industry is we're small. You look at the gas world, it's
There's
so
a lot
big.
of competitors in the gas world for trannies, converters, so many options. It's like,
diesel
who do you
world-
go with?
Who do you go with? In the diesel world, it's a tight-knit community. I think everybody knows everyone. Everyone helps everyone. So that's one of the coolest things for me is making the friends, getting to see them at UCC, and then helping each other out. It was just super cool.
Well, is there anyone else we need to shout out, talk to? I mean, there was Alex, Joe, Rod, Milliken. Gosh, who else?
I mean,
was there?
Nitrous Express. I mean, buy their
Nitrous,
stuff.
Brent,
They're helping us out down there. Edge. We're still running
Edge.
the Edge CTS3 as our data logger. It's tough with a 6.0 Powerstroke. I mean, a lot of guys have gone Motec, and that can data log, but they don't have Motec for a 6-liter yet. So we're running like an Edge for data logging the PCM, a PCS for monitoring the trans, and a few other parameters.
And plugs into a Davis to our traction control.
Shannon Davis down there has been super cool. We got a little profiler traction control unit that really helps us with our nitrous and our fueling setup, which helps us get down the track. There's just so many people that come together to help out. It's been great. So it's been fun. It's been a wild ride. If you haven't checked out any of the Haunter videos, we've kind of been documenting a little bit. Podcast stuff is new to us. Doing these videos is new to us, but we're trying, just to try new things,
something
get it
new,
out there.
different, grow. We've got this fancy new studio now. Me and Jason, took us
You guys did
like
a great
2 weeks
job
to
on
put
this
together.
studio.
But it came out so nice.
I mean, better than the green screen
Oh my
above the shop
We
in
didn't
the
even have room
rafters.
to sit like this upstairs.
No,
the videos with me and Alex, we're literally sitting right next to each other, kind of like facing each other.
I hope we got videos
horrible.
and pictures of what that looked like. It was outside
some. Yeah,
in the
it's
shop.
terrible.
It'd be like 120 degrees up there.
Yeah.
And we got a few complaints of people like, the green screen effect looks kind of weird. It's like, dude, we got nowhere else to
we don't have a
film. We were
choice.
crammed in the old shop.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't realize we were like 10 by 10 rooms with 3 different people sharing each one of those rooms.
Yeah, exactly.
No room to film. If you ever saw us on the brick wall with the table in front of it, that was just our lunchroom. And, we'd have to clear everyone out of the lunchroom to go
hey,
film
guys,
a little bit.
Don't come in here. I had to go through every room. Hey, I'm filming in Bay 1. Don't come in here. Just give me like 30 minutes. Or the best part, filming upstairs, it was either 100 degrees out, so I'd get all prepped in my desk and hang out and write a script and get everything ready. And then get up there, try to shoot it in 8 minutes, and then I could start feeling the sweat down my face. It was like,
dripping down your face, your face turning red. Or Tim, who was right next door to us, would start up one of his big
impact. Like, I was like, oh, damn it.
A semi-truck would show up and drive, and
it'd be so loud. Or the forklift would come in. Our old forklift sounds like a diesel tractor. It's so loud.
So I'm excited. We're excited for the new shop. Big things coming at KC Turbos.
Big upgrades.
We moved to Mesa, so we're a little closer to everyone, a little more room to expand. We're able to set up cool stuff like this. So a lot of big things coming.
Yeah.
A lot of cool products we're going to be releasing over the next few years, months, I guess.
Yeah.
We're pushing forward, so we're super excited.
Yeah. Yeah, and hopefully here in the next, few weeks to few months, we'll have kind of like a welcome to our local people, a little maybe car show, hangout, check out our shop.
Doing like a dyno event, maybe.
That would be amazing.
The car show, truck show / dyno event would be super cool.
Yeah, that's my dream, to bring back, what do we call it, the dyno in the desert.
Yeah, diesel in the desert, dyno in the desert. I can't remember. It's been a few years, but everyone loved it. We're gonna bring it back.
That's what I'm so excited for. I got so many guys that want to come out. They're like, oh yeah, just let me know when you're there, because that's part of the thing I was talking to everyone about at UCC. Was like, well, we just moved, so we've been busy. Sorry with everything that's going on, but hopefully we're going to have an event here soon. They're like, oh, really? When? Just tell me. I'll be there.
Want to come right away. It's like, dude, you do not want to be in Arizona right now.
Please.
115?
It was like 112 today.
112 today. Yeah. The humidity's high. Swamp coolers don't do anything. It's disgusting. Yeah. So we'll probably do it when it cools off and it's a little nicer.
Hoping like February-ish when it's nice and cold. Yeah.
Nice and cool. That's the best time of the year to come to Arizona. We do have good weather, but only like a few months out of the year.
Yeah, 4 months. So we get back from UCC, and what's next for the race truck? Because it was such a grind for those 2 months leading up to it. I haven't even looked at the race trailer because I don't want to think about it.
No, we haven't unloaded the race trailer.
How you feel.
The race trailer is still hooked to the truck with all our equipment and the race truck and the sled pole setup, with the sled pole setup still on the race truck in the trailer. We have not had time to do anything. We're going to try to make it to the next NHRDA race in Montana, but it's going to be a push for that. We're going to try, and then we got Worlds in September, and then we'd like to go to another ODSS race, but it's a 3-day drive there, 3-day drive back, but we're going to try.
That'd be great.
Super excited. Big things coming.
Mm-hmm. Well, so that's all for the roast program. Do we have anything events-wise coming up for KC Turbos? Any local events, sponsored things, new products, new companies we brought on, and we're working.
We're gonna have a couple of people out at we're gonna do a couple more podcasts like this. A couple of local companies. A couple of people are driving in to come hang out, see the new shop, do a couple of podcasts. Got a couple of big releases coming up. I know we just released the EcoBoost turbos. Yeah. We got the new 7.3 turbos that are coming out. Yeah. We've got a few upgrades for the 6-liter. We got our 9, 10, and 11 blade turbine wheel options that we're super excited about. Dual ball bearing 6.7 turbos. Yeah. 2020 6.7 turbos coming out.
Right there, guys. I swear they're going to be available so soon.
VGT drop-in Cummins turbos for the 03 to 07 turbos coming soon. So we got a lot in the works, a lot coming out. We're super excited.
Oh, yeah. So you said we're hopefully, we'll see about going to that next NHRD event. What engine are we going to put in the truck? Maybe.
I'm told that our billet 7.0 liter is going to be shipping soon. So if we can, we're going to have that in there and ready to go. Super excited. That's all we're going to change for now. But over the winter, there's some trans brake for 4Rs we might try. Yeah. We might change things up a little bit. We're going to talk to Motec. Thought about a Common Rail 7-liter, Common Rail 7.3. I don't know. We're not sure what we're doing over the winter, but we're super excited. But that billet block's going to be huge for us because we were blowing up blocks, cracking them, having issues. We're at that point where we needed to step up into something else. So I don't know. Maybe Motec, maybe something Common crazy, Rail 7.0 liter, trans brake. I'm not sure. We're excited for next year. We'll see what we can do with Honda. Hoping to continue pushing the platform, continue developing, and breaking records.
Yeah, there's a lot of options, but whatever it's going to take to get us into 4s, right?
Right, 4s.
4s, 2,000 horsepower, and 300 feet in the sled pull.
Right, that's it for next year.
So if you got any questions on how to build a race truck, how to build a 6.0, how to go fast, and or just want to check out our latest parts, give us a call, talk to one of our guys, we can help you out. And then, who do you guys think we should have next on the podcast here? We got a few people lined up, but if you got anyone in mind, tag them, drop their names below, let us know. We'd be happy to reach out to them, especially if we're already friends. fly on out here, guys. Check us out. We'd love to sit down and do a little conversation for you.
Yeah, if you have any suggestions for Haunter, things you'd like to
Yeah.
see, I mean, we're trying to push things
Any helpful
forward.
hints, maybe?
What would you guys rather see? A billet 7.3 liter common rail? You want a
Maybe,
common rail,
yeah.
a 6.0? You want to just keep
That could be
pushing the
interesting.
Huey? I mean, we've had great luck with Huey, broken
Yeah.
all sorts of records, but
Yeah.
eventually, you know, we want to develop and push products and make new things. Do you have any suggestions on what you'd like to see on Haunter? What upgrades you'd like to see us do, or anything regarding the build? We'd love to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys realize we read the comments. I'm in there. Cameron's in
pretty
there.
much.
Jason's in there. You know, yeah, I don't think it says my name, but I'm always in the comments,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
answering questions, helping out. So if you have anything, reach out, comment down below. We'll respond in a video. Who knows?
Yeah, perfect. Thanks so much for joining us. Hit that like button, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, do the usual stuff, and we'll see you all next time.
Till next time.